Welcome to the sixth session of the first tutorial in our research methods tutorial series. In this tutorial, we are going to look at the various approaches to quantitative research. So these are the various quantitative approaches we'll be looking at. So let's start with the first one, which is descriptive research. Now, for descriptive research, this is all about describing things as they are. Okay, we describe them exactly how they are without trying to change anything. I mean, we do not manipulate any variable. It aims to systematically describe characteristics, behaviors, or trends of a population or an occurrence. Okay, that's how the descriptive research works. So it also answers what, when, where, and how questions, but does not explore cause and effect relationship. So let's say a survey describes the demographic characteristics of voters in a recent election, that was the 2024 election, either in Ghana or in USA. The researcher asked voters about their age, their income, their educational level to describe who voted in the election. You see, so it describes characteristics. Okay, when we are looking at how to write research objective and research question, I'll show you how to write objective and question for a descriptive research. Another example is a report describes the market share of different smartphone brands in a specific region. So let's say in Greater Accra region, the market share of smartphones. So let's say Samsung. Samsung has, let's assume 40%. Let's say Infinix, maybe 35%. Maybe Techno, 20-something%. Another example is a study looks at how many people in a city have diabetes and describes their age, gender, and lifestyle. So it tells you, okay, 15 to maybe 20. These are the number. And then from 21 to, let's say, 40. This is the number of people who have diabetes. Something like that. It describes. You see that. So let's go to the next one, which is correlational research. This one examines the relationship between two or more variables, but it does not prove or imply that one causes the other. It doesn't prove causality. It doesn't prove that one causes the other, but it examines the relationship between two or more variables. Okay, let's take some examples of situations that show that our quantitative approach is going to be correlational. So one is a study between social media usage and mental health among teenagers. So social media usage, maybe the amount of time they spend on social media. So it's going to be quantity. You see, it doesn't prove that social media causes anxiety. It only shows a relationship between them, but it doesn't prove causality. You get it? Another example is a study analyzes the correlation between advertising spending, that's advertisement expenditure, and sales revenue. So you want to look at the correlation between advertisement expenditure and sales revenue. So let us say the company notices that when they spend more on advertisement, their sales go up. But they cannot be sure if the ads are causing the rise in sales revenue or if it is something else that is at play. So we are not trying to say advertisement expenditure is the cause of rise in sale. No, we are just showing a link between them. You see that? So that is correlational. Another example is a study investigates the relationship between exercise frequency and heart disease risk. So researchers find that people who exercise more tend to have lower rates of heart disease, but they cannot be sure that exercise is the reason. We can only identify a link between the rate at which you do exercise and the risk of heart disease. But we cannot say the exercise is the cause of the heart disease. You get it? So let's look at the next approach, which is experimental research. Now, for this, the researchers actively change something, like a teaching method or a drug, to see what happens to the dependent variable. Don't worry, I will explain further, okay? What happens is, the researchers split people or things into groups. Then after doing that, One of the group will get the new thing. We want to see the influence of the new thing on the dependent variable. So those who get a new one are the experimental group. Okay. Then you let the other group remain on the old thing so that you can see if the new one will have influence. You see that? So the old one is the control group, just for you to be able to compare. So the goal is to see if the change makes a difference. You just want to see if the new one makes a difference or it doesn't make any difference. You see, so that is experimental research. Now, let's say a researcher wants to know if a new teaching method helps students pay more attention in class. Are you with me? Then they randomly, it's on random basis, remember that. They randomly assign some students to try the new method. You see, the main thing is we want to know if the new teaching method helps students to pay more attention in class. So we'll divide the students into groups. We'll let one group experience the new teaching method and let the other group stick to the old method. Then after some time, we'll compare their engagement. Okay, the two groups, we'll compare them. So if the new teaching method makes a difference, then we'll shift totally to the new teaching method. But if it doesn't make any difference at all, then there's no problem even adopting that new method. You see, that is experimental. Another example is a company testing whether a new pricing strategy boosts sales. So we want to know whether a new pricing strategy will boost our sales, will increase our sales level. You see. So we randomly offer the new prices to some customers on random and keep the old prices to other customers. We've divided our customers into groups. So we offer the new prices to some customers on random basis and offer the old price to other customers also on random basis. Then we check the group that buys more so that we'll know whether the new pricing strategy is okay for us if we want to increase sales or we should go with the other, that's the old pricing strategy. You see, so that is experimental. Then let's look at the next one, which is quasi-experimental research. Others say quasi-experimental. For quasi-experimental, it's just like the experimental one. It also examines cause and effect relationship. But one thing about this one is that it cannot randomly assign people or things to a group. It occurs on its own. You cannot randomly assign people to groups. Okay. So it is used when randomness is not practical or not ethical. Okay. So this one compares group that already exists. You didn't deliberately do that. You didn't deliberately assign them to this group or in this group. Let's take some examples. Now let's say a researcher wants to examine the impact of a new welfare program on poverty levels. Then the researcher compared people who signed up for the program to similar people who did not sign up for the program. Now when you look at this, it's almost looking like the experimental, but the difference here is that here the group that we compare already exists. We do not assign the group. We do not choose, or we didn't deliberately tell some people that, oh, you guys shouldn't sign up so that we can test those who sign up and those who don't sign up. No. The group already exists. That's the difference between the quasi or quasi-experimental and the experimental. You see. Let's take another example. A study evaluates the effect of a new training program on employee productivity. They compare the productivity of employees who choose to take the training to those who did not take the training. So this one is by choice. We did not deliberately choose to give some people the training and not give others so that we can compare. No. The group already exists. Some employees choose to take the training and others also choose not to. So I want you all to go to the comment section of this video and then write your field or your program of study and then give me just one example of either, that's any of the approach. You can choose to give me an example of descriptive, experimental, quasi-experimental, or correlational, any of them. Okay. So let's end this here for now and continue later. Thank you and see you in the next lesson.